Hey guys, today I want to talk about the new Inbody machine we've got in the gym. Firstly, just want to point out a couple of little things about it. If someone has a pacemaker, which as far as I know, no one in the gym has, they shouldn't use it. It shouldn't also be used as pregnant. That's more of a precautionary thing just because, well, just because. And last but not least, you shouldn't use it during your menstrual cycle because what can happen is, as you know, your weight can fluctuate a lot during that period, no pun intended. And therefore the results will be completely skewed and not enjoyable because of all the fluctuations that can happen. With that said though, it's a fantastic piece of equipment. First of all, these are results from a Jane Doe, hence the name, which is a 5'1" lady who's 51. I'm going to talk you through the sheet from the top down. Let's go through everything. So first of all, you've got your body composition analysis. That is her total weight, her total fat, her total lean muscle, and her total water weight. Give you an idea of water weight. Where you look to pitch that at normally is that 50 to 60% of your total body weight range. Now 50% of 130 pounds is actually 65 pounds. So as you can see, she's slightly below that. But nevertheless, that's the kind of range you're looking for. Moving on then to your muscle fat analysis, this is a beautiful piece of analysis because it goes through the most important things, which are skeletal muscle mass and body fat mass. The reason they're so important, first of all, when you see this range here, this is below average, this is average, and this is above average, and these are your percentiles, so 55, 70, 85, 100, 115 percentile, rather than weight. So the reason these are so important is because this lady is a 130 pounds lady. Now, a 130 pounds lady with a much higher skeletal muscle mass will be a very lean, toned lady who's in fantastic shape. She'll also have a lot lower body fat because, of course, as skeletal muscle mass comes up, if the overall body weight stays the same, body fat mass has to come down because there's only so much you can fit into the person. That's why it's so important, because quite often you can see someone saying, oh, I've been training for ages, I haven't lost any weight, and you're sitting there going, but you told me last week you dropped 2 dress sizes, or you've had to have your suits fitted in because you're much leaner now. And say, yeah, but I haven't lost any weight. Well, here's why. Because your body can change immensely, but the scale may not change. The important thing is that skeletal muscle mass versus the body fat mass. As you can see with our Jane Doe here, she has a C shape between the 3 items, i.e. her weight, her body fat mass are both much higher than her skeletal muscle mass, giving her that C shape. The ideal is actually a D shape where the skeletal muscle mass is much higher than both the weight and the body fat mass. The reason you want that is because that's much more of a leaner, more toned person. Okay, so that's what your ideal, that's what you're looking for. If you take my results, for example, my skeletal muscle mass is on the higher side. So if my weight was here, my skeletal muscle mass is about here, and my body fat is kind of in that kind of range, which means I'm much leaner, more toned than the average guy who's 187 if they had a skeletal muscle mass here, which would be basically a gut, because my skeletal muscle mass is 88, so it's a lot higher than that person. So that's what we want to strive for, that D shape. Now, the D shape doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be big and muscly, it just means you're a much leaner version of yourself. So that's always worth pointing out. And the same with the C shape. The C shape doesn't mean that someone is fat, it just necessarily means they're for want of a better term, a softer or tubbier version of themselves. Think that skinny fat look. So that's why it's such an awesome piece of information. Moving on to the obesity analysis here. First of all, the BMI isn't really useful for us. The Inbody is also used in a clinical setting, and that's why they have the BMI, because that's very, very handy when you're dealing with someone who's morbidly obese or is potentially incredibly skinny due to sickness, illness, and therefore the registered dietitian is working with the doctors to find the appropriate levels to aim for, etc. But in the normal person, for want of a better term, world, it's not really applicable. What is fantastically applicable is this body fat percentage. As your skeletal muscle mass and body fat mass move up and down, so does your body fat percentage move up and down. What a good range to aim for, what the healthy range to aim for ladies, that 18 to 28%, and for a gent is that 10 to 20%. The lower you're at, the better. So for example, if I remember correctly from Nick's results, he's about 13% and I'm 17%. But I do believe curves are sexy, so I'm on that right end for me. Okay, so that's another great bit of information to have. And again, it really helps us calculating when we're working on nutrition and everything, that which is a conversation another time, but they help a lot. Just before we go to segmental lean analysis, these stats here, weight, skeletal muscle mass, and body fat percentage, every time you test it, it comes down to things. So let's say if you've got 5 tests deep, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the idea. So it helps you see them all in one spot. This then is beautiful here from a coaching perspective. We have for left leg, left leg, and trunk. It gives the weight of the muscle in each side, and it gives a percentage in each point. Now, obviously 100% on the left arm and 100% on the right arm will have a different weight. It's a relative percent. The idea, if these were all 100s, that would be a perfectly balanced person. However, you actually want to be going above 100. So for example, to just use me, my left arm was 122.7 and my left leg was 104. So therefore, you know, and that's my lowest stat is 104, so my right leg actually on my left. And my highest stat is 122.7 and my trunk is in the middle at 113. So none of my stats are below 100, which is the goal. You want everything below 100, then you want everything to be as the level of your highest amount. So let's look at Jane for a second. On her, you can see there's a left arm, right arm slight imbalance, about 4%. So that's something she needs to work on for both aesthetics, but also injury prevention and overall athletic performance. And then she also has the same with the left leg to right leg imbalance as well. So you'd want to work on those balances, but more importantly than that, you want to actually bring up the overall strength of the leg, because you can see they're lagging to 72 versus 90 and 74 versus 94. They're lagging nearly 20% behind the arms. Once you get those up, and obviously be working on the balance at the same time, you're then looking to bring everything up to that 100% mark, and then from there and beyond. So that's the idea, is it helps us to be able to see where you're balanced. It can help a lot with obviously designing of personal programming and designing of injury prevention and injury recovery stuff as well, when we can see those imbalances, because quite often we get injuries because of imbalances. Last thing to talk about then is we got these stats up here. These ones here are an indication. If you just dropped off 22 pounds, it would bring you to that range. In body fat mass, it would bring you to what they consider the normal range. Or if you put on 8.4 pounds of lean mass, it would bring you to the normal range. That's bringing you to the normal range. It doesn't mean that will give you the D shape that we want. It just means it'll bring you to the normal range. The last thing to talk about here is lean body mass, just the mass of your lean dry lean mass and your body water. The last thing then is the basal metabolic rate. What that basically means is the BMR, is more commonly called. That's what the amount of calories that our Jane Doe will burn if she had nothing but basically lay on her back all day long. So she burns 1168 calories, she lay on her back all day long. That's fantastic, because that helps you calculate your overall calorie expenditure. Now what we do for that, we use what we call the TDEE, or the total daily energy expenditure, to get that, which is a multiplier effect in this. So to use me as an example, mine is 2810. My basal metabolic rate, my BMR is 1884 calories, and I use a multiplier effect of 1.5 times for me to diet. That's something I've had to learn. So that means for me dieting, I diet on 2810 calories, roughly. And it just shows you that a lot of people in society are under eating. Now that's a different conversation for a different time, but this gives us that information, which of course we can do using spreadsheets. I have one on my computer right now, but this is a lot more accurate because of the data in there. So guys, again, that's a summary of everything in the Inbody machine. How we're going to be using it is, if you're currently is a few options. Number one, a one-off session is $50 to $5. Number two, a before and after to be used within 3 months is $100. And number three, 4 sessions to be used within 12 months of purchase is $160. However, because we are such firm believers in the benefits of personal training, and that's just because we see the results of it. You know, there's a reason Rich Froning, Catching Davistar has nearly every single class she does, or every single session just personal trained. Catching Davistar, all these guys, Matt Fraser, Sam Briggs, who just won the Dubai Qualifier, all these guys have personal trainers for everything they do. It's not just for the best, it's for everyone at our own level. And the reason and that's why we believe in so strongly, because it delivers results. and it delivers results a lot faster. So therefore, we've decided that if you're doing one of the personal training, if you're doing a monthly personal training, you will have a one session with this included. So instead of paying $70 for your personal training and $55 for your Inbody session, so that's 122 or 125, my apologies, you will just pay for your personal training session and you will get it as part of that. That's how much we believe in that, and that's how much, well, from evidence alone, we've seen the evidence alone of it. So therefore, we're going to include that. Otherwise, if you just want the Inbody, the price are as I mentioned. Guys, if you got any questions about this or anything, please let me know, or let one of the coaches know. One last thing to point out as well, the Inbody can't actually be used by anyone without a coach there, because it takes a code to turn it on, and we need to show you how to use it too. So please do me a favor and don't jump on it, because it is a $7,500 piece of equipment. So I'd rather not just anyone break it. Guys, any questions on this, please let me or one of the coaches know. Outside that, we hope this adds a lot of value to you. We're very confident it's a lot of value to you in your training, and act as another bit of evidence behind what we do and help back up what you do, and as another way of accountability for you and for us. I know I'm doing one once a month. I may even do one more regular than that. I'm thinking about once every second week actually. To add accountability for us, to keep us another thing, just like the level method, just like all the other things we do, another thing to help us get those gains we work so hard to achieve. Guys, have a great day. Any questions, let me know. Outside that, I'll speak to you later. See ya.